I'm going to start my speech in 3, 2, 1. Giving the rebuttals to the Prime Minister that they say that they agree that Prime Minister, that we actually agree with Prime Minister when they said that this kind of test will take over the right of others. But they said it's harming because voting have no best policies and programs which are nonsense at all. Probably, even if they vote, it can be taken with unlimited change. We could say that the vote itself are fully their own rights. Given the privilege of democracy, every people can choose on who they think better to lead. Moreover, when you vote for someone, even if you don't know the candidate's background or policy or principle, etc., it doesn't necessarily indicate that you have made a bad choice. The fact that someone is willing enough to make a vote means that they have to put in effort to make a change. We could not expect or even generalize everyone to share a common knowledge in politics. I said before, not everyone comes from similar background, not to even mention that some people are unable to keep up with government expectations. A quick example would be on the life of the poor people. They may have the intention to contribute their vote. However, with the constraints that they are experiencing, for example, limited information, limited knowledge, and limited resources that made them easy to be manipulated, would later just ended up in disappointing themselves, for they are living in a different life from other better welfare family. It could show that the government sounds picky for only favoring several people with vote. Based on what I told before, this kind of act will limiting the proper meaning of democracy. People can turning back to government, which they may think that the government only into the educated people in politics and the educated person in politics. When that happens, the unfortunate outcome we may expect is loss of trust. We say that this loss of trust is between the people to government. It could affect the society that people are divided in different classes. The rights to vote for everyone shows that everyone is equal with same political power. Once you put on a limit as to who can and cannot vote, the lower class will definitely be harmed, as they are the ones who receive less education and will most likely not granted the right to vote. The problematic one is that it could discriminate society more. The social gap may be worsening just because of this kind of discrimination happen. It divides on how people can vote and they who haven't get the access of vote. Now, that was just my first argument of these cases based to rebuttal on the Prime Minister. The second one, I heard that the Prime Minister said that status quo, based on the status quo, it's not enough to know educated about political matters with clear parameters. When you're talking about a test, it's meant to measure one's knowledge. But does knowledge equate to a fair result of elections? In every elections, there are always more than one candidate that each of them possess different values and planning. Nothing is absolutely true or false. Everything is subject to one's hope in achieving the ideal world. Hence, if a certain candidate do things opposite to what they have promised, then the one at fault is not the voter. In fact, the blame should be on the whole system itself for allowing hypocrite taking the chance in elections. Why shouldn't government do further candidate screening? Sometimes we are just getting too busy in living our life, fulfilling our academic or professional responsibility that we later become ignorant. The ignorance is on the basis that we trust our political system to at least do the process of screening or filtering the unworthy candidate so that we will not make a fatal choice. Let me tell you that bias in a democracy is a normal thing that could be happen. As what I said before on the stances and such an argument, democracy of society is different. And how the candidate reaching up to every layer of society is also different. That is why this kind of bias that it could be happen. Every person has different education and experience in politics. It's differently just what I said on my stance before. That is why this democracy is needed to search for who's match perfectly with society based on vote and agreement of society. And based on what I thought based on this, the democracy itself planning or just is having a reasoning and that purpose to reach to government to reach on the society. That is why I think the balance of government and society is really needed in this case. And also by this, the democracy itself means that the country is ruled by the people, and it's all like basically the balance of it, but the balance of the government and people, the government and society also cause this synergy. And let me tell you once again about how democracy works. A democracy is a system where people can change their rules, can change their rulers in peaceful manner, and the government is given the right to rule because the people say how it affects the society. Basically, if you're giving this kind of test, even though it can be done in over and over, this still reflects that the democracy can be done freely by society. And yeah, we are fully disagree with this kind of test. And you can quote by what I told before. And yeah, this give discrimination and then disagreement and then divided social classes and people, and so that is why we are proudly oppose this kind of test on democratic things. And I think that's all of my speech. Thank you.